Hello. Last week we talked about how to populate a Google Slides presentation using data from Google Sheets. Today I'm going to show a more advanced example that uses data from two different Google Sheets in the same Google Slides presentation. For my example, we're going to use a vacation rental management company that's going to send out a year in review report on all of their properties. So in this example, the property is a Haverty's Family Getaway, and they're going to receive this type of presentation that shows data about their property. For example, the total number of bookings that the property received, the total housekeeping, and of course, the total amount of rent that they collected over the course of a year. We also include the local contact information for their property manager. And all of this information, from the phone numbers to the photos, and of course to the rental data, is all stored in Google Sheets. So our example uses two different Google Sheets. The first of them is the vacation rental performance sheet. In this sheet, we have the property name. We also have all of the data about the performance of that property over time. This data is summarized over the course of a year using a pivot table for each property. The second data sheet we have is just the staff members that manage each property. So again, we have the property name as a unique identifier. We have the local contact name, email, phone number, and a Google Drive link to their individual photo. Now, pulling all of this together, I've built out a template of our year in review report. This template makes use of data pragmas. So for example, on the first slide, you see the property name in curly braces, and this tells us that the property name field is going to be replaced in the final presentation by the actual name of the property that's found in our Google Sheet. We also have pragmas to fill in images such as the vacation rental management company's logo, and also on the last slide, the picture of the local contact. All of the data, including the total bookings and the total amount of rent, are represented in pragmas that will be auto-filled. Notice that these are in a large font. That's because in the final presentation, these numbers will be shown in a large font on the screen. So all of this formatting, while it may look strange for the pragma, actually looks really good in the final presentation. So to pull all of this together, we use Slideform. Now here's Slideform. You can see we have a lot of different presentation templates loaded, but here's our 2022 year in review. If we go into look at the data setup, we can see that each of the fields called pragmas has its own blue box. And in each of these blue boxes, we set up the information to be pulled from a specific field in our spreadsheets. So for the first one, the property name, this is the most important piece of information we collect at the beginning. What we want to do is set up so that the user selects the property name from a drop-down menu. So we set that here. We identify the data sheet that the data will be pulled from. This will be pulled from the vacation rentals performance sheet. And we choose the actual sheet name. And the query includes column A from field 2 to 100. This will form the drop-down information. And we can see that if we preview the drop-down here. All of the other fields, all of the other pragmas are set up in a similar way. So for example, the total bookings would be pulled automatically based on the property name that's selected in step 1. So for this, we tell it, where does the data come from? It comes from this performance data sheet. And then the system will automatically select the correct number from that sheet where the property name equals the one we chose in step 1. To connect a second data sheet, let's scroll down to the pragmas that use that information. Here's the local contact name. Again, we want this to be a text input that's going to be pre-selected. And in this case, where is the data coming from? We choose this other data sheet called staff territories. We select the sheet here, and then we construct a query. Now the query uses the same pragma property name that we used in step 1. So this is important to stitch the data together. The staff territories data sheet has to have the same property name as the other data sheet does. But once that's taken care of, you can automatically populate the name of the local contact and their email and phone number just by pulling from that property name field. Also, we can populate their photo as well by using the URL that we loaded into the staff territories Google Sheet. So let's see what this looks like. Let's go back to the forms and click Create Presentation. Now the first step, in fact the only step we have to do to create a presentation, is simply to use the drop-down and choose the property that we're interested in. Click Next, and it's going to generate the presentation for us. So we can see a preview of our slides down below. They're populated with the name of the property and today's date, and all of the data pertaining to that property from our Google Sheet, including the name and photo of the local contact person. So now we can either get a link to this presentation in Google Docs, we can download a PDF or a PowerPoint file. Let's take a look at what the Google Doc version looks like. Here we are. This is the presentation that was generated by Slideform for Haverty's Family Getaway. And you can see all 8 slides are available, and not only are they loaded here in Google Slides, but it's completely editable. So if you notice anything that needs to be changed before sending it out to the client, you can easily do that. I hope you've really enjoyed today's lesson on Slideform and how to automate and speed up manual tasks in reporting and creating slides. Thanks.